Hey everyone, and welcome to your personalized deep dive.
Oh,
Today, we're going to be looking at something that might just change how you see, well, everything.
hmm.
Masculine and feminine energies. And no, not in the way you might think.
Yeah.
This isn't about gender roles or anything like that,
No.
but about these powerful forces that are within all of us.
Yeah.
I'm so excited for this deep dive.
Me too.
Our source material for this one comes from this really cool book all about self-mastery and personal growth.
Oh, awesome.
And it basically says that mastering these energies can transform like every area of your
I
life,
love that.
like your relationships, career, even your inner world.
It's like they're all connected. When you
Yeah.
when you have that inner balance, everything else just seems to fall into place.
Okay, so let's break this down.
Okay.
First things first, what exactly are these energies?
Well, you can think of masculine energy as that really focused drive, that part of you that loves to take action and make decisions and create structure.
Oh,
It's the energy of the sun pushing outward, making things happen.
so like when you're super productive and like, in the zone, checking things off your to-do list.
Yeah, exactly like that feeling of accomplishment and getting things done.
And then feminine energy is more about intuition.
Yes, it's about going with the flow and connecting with your emotions and your creativity. It's that inner voice, that creative spark. It's like the moon's energy, receptive, intuitive, and nurturing.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
But what happens when one of those energies kind of takes over?
Well, that's where things can get a bit tricky.
Yeah.
Too much masculine energy. And you might find yourself burning out, pushing yourself to the limit, and neglecting your emotional needs.
Oh, yeah, I can definitely see that happening.
Yeah, it's like a car running on fumes. Eventually you hit a wall.
So what about having too much feminine energy?
Well, in that case, you might find it difficult to make decisions or set boundaries or take action on your ideas. It's like having all these amazing ideas, but no clear path to bring them to life.
Okay, I think I'm starting to see how this applies to my own life.
Me too.
So the key is to find that sweet spot, that balance between the two, right?
Absolutely. It's not about suppressing one or the other. It's
Yeah.
about, weaving them together, creating a dynamic dance between those energies.
I love that, a dynamic dance.
Yeah.
Okay, so how do we even know which energy is dominant for us right now? Like, do we need a cosmic energy meter or something?
Well, a cosmic energy meter would be pretty cool,
Right.
but there are actually some simple ways to figure it out.
Oh, good.
It starts with self-awareness, and luckily our source provides some insightful questions that can help you kind of pinpoint where you're at.
All right, hit me with those questions. I'm ready to get introspective.
Okay, so first one, are you a meticulous planner who thrives on control?
Mm-hmm.
Or do you prefer to go with the flow?
Mm-hmm.
Do you find comfort in to-do lists and routines, or does spontaneity light you up?
That's a good one. I think I lean towards structure, but I also really crave those moments of, just like creative freedom and spontaneity.
Yeah.
I like both of them.
Okay, see, you're already learning things about yourself.
I know this is great.
Another question. Are you naturally drawn to leadership roles, taking charge, making things happen, or do you find more fulfillment in supporting others and nurturing those around you?
Mm. I think I like a bit of both.
Yeah.
Leading projects can be really exciting, but I also find it super satisfying to help others, reach their full potential.
Yeah, it's about recognizing those nuances within yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And lastly, think about how you typically make decisions.
Okay.
Are you all about logic and facts and pros and cons lists,
Mm-hmm.
or do you rely more on gut feelings and that inner voice?
Okay, that one's easy. I am definitely a gut feeling person.
Yeah.
Sometimes I make decisions and I'm not even sure why, but they usually work out.
It's amazing how powerful our intuition can be.
It is.
And, these questions are just a starting point, but they can give you a sense of which energy might be a bit louder in your life right now.
I like that. So say someone realizes, oh, yep, I'm definitely, leaning more towards one energy. What can they do to bring in more of that other side? Is it even possible to shift that balance?
Yes, definitely. And that's where things get really exciting.
Oh, good.
Our source material doesn't just leave us hanging with, a diagnosis.
Right.
It actually offers practical steps to bring those energies back into harmony.
All right, now you're speaking my language.
Right.
So let's start with someone who's all about that masculine energy, always pushing, striving, doing.
Yeah.
How can they invite in a little more feminine flow?
One of the most powerful tools, and this might sound counterintuitive, is actually slowing down.
Oh, okay.
Practices like mindfulness and breath work
Yeah.
can help you shift from that constant doing mode into a state of just being.
That makes sense.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
know for me, when I'm super busy, I can barely even remember to breathe, let
Right.
alone, connect with my feelings or anything even remotely creative.
It's like hitting the pause button on autopilot.
Yes.
And speaking of connecting with feelings, journaling is another amazing practice.
Hmm.
It allows you to tap into that emotional depth without judgment, to really explore your inner world and that intuitive side.
I love that.
Yeah,
It's like you're giving yourself permission to feel without needing to fix anything.
exactly.
What about for people who, struggle to express themselves or feel blocked creatively?
The source recommends exploring creative expression, and
Mhm.
this could be anything that speaks to you. Yeah, painting, writing, dancing, even cooking.
Oh, fun.
It's about finding ways to soften that rigidity and tap into a more flowing energy,
So cool. It's not just about being artsy,
right?
but about tapping into that creative life force that we all have within us.
Exactly. It's about finding what makes your soul sing.
Okay, so we've covered how to bring in more feminine energy. What about for someone who's super strong in the feminine intuitive flowing, but maybe struggles to take action?
A great place to start is by setting clear goals.
Oh, okay.
This provides a framework, a structure for that free-flowing feminine energy.
Hmm.
It helps to ground it and give it some direction.
So it's like creating a riverbed for that flowing energy so it can move with purpose.
That's a perfect
I
analogy.
like that.
And to build on that, the source suggests taking daily action steps, even
Okay.
tiny ones.
Hmm.
It's about creating momentum, building a sense of accomplishment, and developing that get-it-done energy.
I can see how even small steps can lead to huge changes over time.
Absolute consistency is key.
What else can help boost that masculine energy?
The source also recommends exploring assertiveness training.
Okay.
Learning to say no with confidence, setting healthy boundaries, and making decisions with more firmness can make a huge difference.
I can see that.
It's about stepping into a more empowered role.
I think it's important to remember that it's not about like completely switching sides. It's
Yeah.
about finding that harmony within ourselves.
That's such a crucial point.
Mm.
It's not about becoming someone else. It's about weaving these energies together to create a more balanced and whole.
And I bet that balanced energy shows up in how we relate to others
Oh,
too.
absolutely.
What are some of the key insights from the source about how these energies play out in our relationships?
Well, relationships are like a mirror. They reflect our own internal dynamics.
Mm.
And that's where these energy imbalances often become most apparent.
Okay.
They show up in how we communicate, how we make decisions,
Mm.
even how we express affection.
I can see that. So can you give us some specific examples? I'm sure our listener is dying to know how this actually looks in relationships.
So imagine a couple where both partners are super high in masculine energy.
Okay.
They might be incredibly successful and driven,
Mm-hmm.
but their relationship could lack that emotional depth and intimacy.
Mm.
There might be a lot of control and competition, but not enough space for vulnerability and nurturing.
It's like two suns colliding, lots of light and heat, but maybe not enough of that soft lunar glow.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And on the flip side, if both partners are high in feminine energy, there might be tons of warmth and connection,
Mm-hmm.
but they might struggle to make decisions or, take charge when needed.
So like two moons, lots of intuitive understanding, but maybe a bit lost when it comes to taking action.
Precisely. And this highlights how important it is to have that balance of energies,
Yeah.
where each partner brings different strengths to the table.
I love that analogy of the sun and the moon.
Yeah,
It really paints a clear picture.
it does.
That makes so much sense.
Yeah.
It's about having both the light and the shadow working together to create a whole, vibrant ecosystem.
Mm-hmm.
But how do you actually achieve that balance in a relationship? Especially if both partners are, starting from a place of imbalance.
The source really emphasizes the importance of open communication and self-awareness.
Okay.
It's about being honest with yourself and your partner, about your strengths and weaknesses, about what you need and what you can offer.
Mm-hmm.
It's about being willing to learn from each other and support each other's growth.
So it's less about fixing your partner and more about understanding yourself.
Yes.
And creating a space where both of you can thrive. Exactly. And recognizing that it's a journey, not a destination.
This is already blowing my mind. I can't wait to dive even deeper into this in the next part.
Yeah.
But before we go, any final thoughts you want to leave our listener with for now?
I think the biggest takeaway is that this isn't just some abstract concept. It's a practical roadmap to unlock your full potential, not just in your relationships, but in every area of your life.
Beautifully said. We'll be back in part 2 to explore even more about how this balance of energies can impact your career, your creativity, and even your everyday life. Stay tuned.
I'm excited.
Me too.
All right.
All right, see you then.
Bye. Welcome back. We're diving even deeper into this fascinating world of masculine and feminine energies. And I don't know about you, but I am seeing things in a whole new light.
It's amazing how once you become aware of these energies, you start noticing them everywhere.
Oh, yeah.
In your interactions at work,
Yeah.
even in the way you approach challenges.
Totally. And speaking of challenges, one thing that really stood out to me was how this balance can impact our creativity and problem-solving abilities.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
I think you're about to tell us more about that, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It's like when we're stuck in overdrive with that masculine energy, we might try to like bulldoze our way through problems
Yeah.
using just pure logic and willpower.
Uh-huh.
But sometimes that just creates more resistance.
Yeah. It's like trying to fit a square peg in a round hole.
Exactly. All force and no finesse.
Right.
And we might miss out on those aha moments that come from tapping into our intuition and our creativity, that feminine flow.
So it's like having a beautiful painting in your head, but not knowing how to pick up the brush.
That's a great way to put it. The magic happens when we can blend these energies using that masculine structure to channel our feminine creativity and that decisive action to bring our intuitive insights to life.
I'm starting to see this play out in my own work. Like when I'm facing a creative block, sometimes what I really need isn't more brainstorming,
Yeah.
but like a solid plan to get those ideas out of my head and into the world.
That's a perfect example.
Mm-hmm.
It's about using both sides of the brain, blending logic and intuition to become a more well-rounded problem solver.
This concept is blowing my mind. I bet it applies to way more than just work challenges, though, right?
Oh, absolutely. Think about personal dilemmas,
Mm-hmm.
relationship issues, even navigating those everyday decisions.
Yeah.
It's all about finding that sweet spot between those energies.
Speaking of relationships, I am really curious to hear more about how this balance can impact how we connect with others.
Well, it's fascinating.
Mm-hmm.
The source suggests that when we're internally balanced,
Okay.
we actually attract people who are also in balance.
Oh, wow.
It's like we're emitting a certain vibration
Yeah.
that resonates with others
Mm.
on a similar wavelength.
So if we want to attract healthy, balanced relationships, we need to cultivate that balance within ourselves first.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's an inside-out approach. The more we understand and integrate our own masculine and feminine energies, the more we'll attract people who mirror that harmony.
We attract what we are, not just what we want. I love that. And once we're in a relationship, how does this balanced energy play out in our interaction?
It impacts everything.
Mm.
Our communication becomes clearer and more compassionate.
Mhm.
We're better at setting healthy boundaries, and we can even navigate conflict with more grace and understanding.
Okay, I need you to break that down for me because I know our listener is thinking the same thing.
Okay,
How does that actually look in practice?
so let's take communication, for example.
Mm.
Someone with too much masculine energy might communicate in a way that's super direct
Mm.
to the point of being blunt or insensitive,
Mm-hmm.
but someone with an excess of feminine energy might be hesitant to speak up at all,
Right.
or be so indirect that their message gets lost.
It's like they're speaking different languages even if they're using the same words.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But when we're balanced, we can communicate assertively and compassionately. We can stand up for ourselves without bulldozing others, and we can listen with an open heart.
That's such a game changer, especially when it comes to resolving conflicts, you know? So much of the time, arguments escalate because people aren't communicating effectively.
That's true. And this balance also helps us set healthy boundaries. If we're overly masculine, we might overextend ourselves, always saying yes, even when we're exhausted.
Right. And someone with too much feminine energy might struggle to say no or feel guilty about prioritizing their own needs.
It's all about finding that middle ground, honoring ourselves, and respecting others' needs. It's empowering.
This is so eye-opening. It's like we're given this roadmap for healthy communication and relationships, but no one ever teaches us how to read it.
That's a great point. And there's one more aspect of this I think is really important to address, the idea of shadow work.
Ooh, that's intense.
Yeah.
What's shadow work all about?
It's the process of exploring those parts of ourselves that we tend to hide,
Hmm.
the aspects we might consider negative or unacceptable, the stuff we sweep under the rug.
Oh, I think we all have some of that lurking in the shadows.
We do.
But how does this relate to masculine and feminine energies?
Well, what's fascinating is that our shadow selves often contain the very qualities we need to achieve balance.
Mm-hmm.
Someone with a strong masculine energy might have a shadow side that's deeply emotional and intuitive,
Yeah.
but they've learned to suppress it.
So it's like our shadow side holds the missing piece of the puzzle.
Exactly. And by doing shadow work, we can reclaim those disowned parts of ourselves. and integrate them into our conscious awareness.
That sounds incredibly powerful, but also kind of scary. Facing those parts of ourselves we've been avoiding can't be easy.
It definitely takes courage, but it's not about judging ourselves or trying to get rid of those negative qualities.
Hmm.
It's about understanding them, accepting them, and seeing how they can actually contribute to our wholeness.
So it's about realizing that we're not just light, we're also shadow, and that true balance comes from embracing all of it.
Exactly. It's a journey from fragmentation to wholeness. And the beauty is that as we do our own inner work, it ripples out into our relationships and the world around us.
This is blowing my mind. We've covered so much ground already, but I feel like we've only just scratched the surface.
There's always more to explore, and I think that's what makes this topic so fascinating. It's a lifelong journey of self-discovery.
Well, before we move on to our final part, is there anything else you want to leave our listener with for now? Any key takeaways they should be reflecting on?
I think the most important message is this. This isn't just about feeling good.
Mm.
Balancing these energies
Mm-hmm.
is about unlocking your full potential in every aspect of your life, your
Yeah.
relationships, your work, your creative expression, even your spiritual connection.
Powerful stuff. We'll be back in part 3 to wrap up this deep dive and explore what it means to truly embody this balance in our everyday lives. Don't go anywhere. And we are back for the final part of our deep dive into masculine and feminine energies. And I don't know about you, but I am feeling like I've just been through like a crash course in self-discovery.
Yeah, me too. It's amazing how much we've unpacked about these, seemingly simple yet profound energies.
It is. And what's really sticking with me is how this concept can impact not just our personal lives, but also ripple out into the world around us.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's not just about, finding inner balance,
Hmm.
but it's also about creating a more harmonious and balanced world.
That's a really powerful thought. Like, we each have this responsibility to cultivate this balance within ourselves.
Hmm.
And in doing so, we contribute to like a larger shift towards greater harmony and well-being for everyone.
Exactly. As we become more balanced individuals, we show up differently in our interactions in our communities and, in the choices we make each day.
Yeah.
It's like a chain reaction of positive change.
Okay, before we get too philosophical here, I want to make sure we squeeze in all the juicy wisdom from our source material.
Okay.
Is there anything else that stood out to you that you think would be helpful for our listener to hear?
There's a section that really emphasizes the importance of self-compassion in this process.
Oh, okay.
It's easy to get caught up in that idea of, achieving perfect balance. But that's not realistic. And frankly, it kind of misses the point.
So true. This isn't about striving for some unattainable ideal, but about embracing the natural ebb and flow of these energies within us.
Mm-hmm.
Some days we're going to feel more aligned, and other days we might feel a bit wonky, and that's okay.
Exactly. It's a journey, not a destination. And like any journey, there will be bumps in the road, detours, and maybe even a few wrong turns. The key is to be gentle with ourselves along the way.
I love that it's about giving ourselves permission to be human,
Yeah.
to make mistakes,
Yeah.
and to learn from those experiences. It's not about beating ourselves up when we fall out of balance, but about noticing those patterns with curiosity and compassion, and then taking steps to gently nudge ourselves back into alignment.
Beautifully said. And those steps might look different for everyone.
Yeah.
Some people might find that spending time in nature helps them reconnect with their feminine energy, while others might find that, engaging in a challenging workout helps them tap into their masculine energy.
Yeah, it's all about finding what works for you and being willing to experiment. What brings me into balance might be totally different for someone else, and that's okay.
Yeah.
And it's not about forcing ourselves to do things that we hate.
Right.
If the thought of meditating makes you want to run for the hills, then maybe find a different way to cultivate that stillness and presence.
Exactly. It's about honoring our individual needs and preferences, and it's also about celebrating those small victories along the way.
Yeah.
Every time we choose to respond with compassion instead of reactivity,
Mhm.
every time we set a healthy boundary, every time we listen to our intuition, we're taking a step towards greater balance.
I love that it's not about achieving some like grand transformation overnight, but about those small, consistent actions that add up over time. It's about progress, not perfection.
Beautifully said.
Hmm.
And as we wrap up this deep dive, I think it's important to remember that this work is never truly done.
Hmm.
It's an ongoing exploration, a dance between these energies that continues throughout our lives.
So true, and maybe that's the beauty of it.
Yeah.
It's not about reaching some final destination, but about enjoying the journey, the constant learning and growth that comes with embracing the fullness of who we are. And who knows, maybe as we each do our own inner work, we'll inspire those around us to do the same, creating a ripple effect of positive change that extends far beyond ourselves.
I love that thought. As we become more balanced within, we contribute to a more balanced world.
Well said. A huge thank you to you for guiding us through this incredibly insightful deep dive. And to our listener, thank you for joining us on this journey of exploration. We hope this has sparked some new awareness and inspired you to continue exploring the power of masculine and feminine energies in your own life.
And remember, the journey towards balance is an ongoing adventure. Be patient with yourself, celebrate your progress, and trust that you are always evolving and expanding into your fullest potential.
Until next time, thanks for tuning into your personalized deep dive.